Hello, everyone, and welcome to Franchise Focus. I'm your host, Lisa Lankowski. I'm a certified franchise consultant, and Franchise Focus is all about talking with experts in the franchising industry. And today we have Kim Hanson, who is the CEO of LearningRx, and she is coming to us from Colorado Springs, Colorado. Welcome, Kim.
Thank you for having me. It's good to be here. I love franchising and talking about it.
And I'm so delighted to have you with us. I think this is a great concept and you are extremely passionate about it. So I wanted to make sure to get you on so everyone can learn more about this delightful concept. So Kim, before we delve into that, LearningRx is clearly, it's in the education space. You can get that kind of from the name for those that are not familiar. But explain what your background was before you became CEO of this concept. Where were you before this?
Yeah, well, I started my career as a teacher, and I taught in the inner city schools, and I wanted to make a difference. My parents had always taught me the importance of being a lifetime learner, and I wanted to make a difference for kids who might not have, all the possibilities. And so that's how I started, was in teaching. I went off and I did some other things, and then I started to work for LearningRx, almost 20 years ago, I want to say, and I ran support and helped our franchisees be successful. And then about 4 years ago, I became the CEO.
Incredible. So we lost a teacher who was trying to make that difference, and it's happening all too often today, of course, because of the pandemic. But you had this other calling into this area and into this arena, and LearningRx is a family affair, correct?
Yes. So my dad was the founder of our programs. When he was actually an optometrist, and when he came back from optometry school, his dad wanted to double check everything because his dad was also an eye doctor. So what he decided to do was buy the children part of his practice. And so my dad was very smart growing up, but reading was always a little bit of a struggle for him, and he couldn't figure out why that could be or how that could be. So my dad kind of went on a quest to figure out, why could you have a very smart person who struggled to read? And that kind of led him down the whole path of finding out, that there are 7 underlying cognitive skills that are important to how you learn and perform. And so he kind of dove into that and kind of became an expert. In fact, he's one of the few pioneers of brain training.
Wow. Fantastic. So all because he himself had an issue with learning how to read. He sat there and did some research and then came up with this concept. And at what point did LearningRx franchise? Like at what point did it franchise?
Mm-hmm. So we've been franchising, I think it was 2004, we opened a center. Before that, we had licensed our program to professionals all around the country. So we've trained many doctors, psychologists, teachers, special ed, how to do our program before franchising. But we found that we could help a lot more people if we opened up centers that were dedicated just to brain training and not, just one of the tools in their toolbox.
So talk about what these centers are. So this is for the community to be able to come in and utilize this as additional resources in addition to the regular typical schooling that is provided. And can you explain more about that?
Yeah, so we're kind of in the educational space, but yet we're not really educational. Most people don't know this, but there are 2 parts to SMART. There's what you know, and then there's how you process information. We are on the how you process information side. So a family could come in, and first of all, if they have someone in their family that is struggling, to learn or perform, then we'd start out with an assessment. It's actually a cognitive test, and it looks at the 7 underlying skills that are important to how you learn and perform. And then it shows where they're strong and then where they might be weak. And so then what we do is we assign them to a brain trainer, and we start doing one-on-one mental exercises. They're kind of fun, but they're also tough because we only work on what you can't do. If you can do something, then we don't need to work on it, right? So we only work on what you can't do, and then we increase those underlying skills, things like attention and processing speed and visual processing. There's 7 of them, so logic and reasoning.
Wow. And so the community gets to come in, use this as an additional layer for helping kids that are struggling. Do you ever offer this for adults?
We do. Yes. Yes. We didn't start out that way, but we've had a lot of people come to us, knock on our door and say, can you help with this? And can you help with that? So we've now helped athletes be better at what they do. We've helped soldiers that have come back from the war and have maybe lost their short-term memory. We've helped people with TBIs. And so, yeah, we've helped a lot of people. You don't have to be struggling to be helped by brain training. Anyone who wants to learn better, faster, and easier can come to us, and we can build their underlying skills. The great news is that you're not stuck with what you're born with, that these skills can be improved.
That's a great point, that you don't have to be struggling to seek this out, that you just want to improve upon what you already have. The brain is a muscle, right? Just like everything else, and the more that you work it, the better, and then you can sit there and take input in easier and become a better reader or learn a language better or whatever it is that you want to improve upon. So that is a really good point. So all these years later, Kim, where are you across the country? How many locations do you have up currently?
Mm-hmm. So we have about 50 here in the United States, and then we're also in 40 countries around the world. So when you total them all, I think there's around 167, I want to say.
So international, did you ever see that happening? Was that ever something that you guys had on your vision boards when you were working and making this all a reality?
Mm-hmm. Well, part of our vision is to make learning better, faster, and easier for people worldwide. So yeah, that is very much our mission and part of our vision. And so, yeah, we've only been doing that for about 50. Actually, I think only like seven years we've been going international.
Okay. And when people come in to utilize your services, do you see what a typical retention rate is for how long people stay and that they work with you?
Yeah. So first of all, the results that we get are pretty amazing. We average about 15 points of IQ change in about 6 months, which is really very significant. And we have 17 peer-reviewed studies that you can go and read, that you can download. In fact, if you go to our website, you can look at our client outcomes, and you can look at them from different categories, and you can read through all of our studies. But one of the studies that we've looked at is retention, and do they retain what they have built a year or two later? And they really do. In fact, sometimes they even go beyond when it comes to like logic and reasoning. The great thing about these underlying skills is that you use them every day. So because we're not working on academics or what you know, but we're working on your skill, once you have these skills, you can use them in your everyday life, not just in school. You can use them, on the soccer field. You can use them when you're doing your chores. You can do them in business or on your job. And so they actually retain, and sometimes they even grow.
Yeah, that is so fascinating. And, you know, what you just said about you can use it in every facet of your life because we are using our brain every moment, except when we're sleeping. And even then, your brain is still operating. So everything is just being, you know, even for driving and having, you know, better reaction and just I'm just sitting here thinking about all the different facets for how this can improve things. So that's terrific. So what the centers, what type of staffing requirements do you have for your centers?
So our centers have a director, typically, an assistant director, and then they may have 7 to 15 part-time brain trainers. And so that's kind of what our staffing looks like.
And I imagine that you probably have many of the part-timers. Are they educators as well?
Sometimes they're educators, but the problem with educators is we need educators that won't teach. They need to train. So sometimes they make a good trainer, sometimes they don't. We're kind of looking for someone who is fun, who has good cognitive skills themselves, and would make like a good soccer coach. Because we need to encourage our clients, you know, whoever we're working on, we work one-on-one, but we need to push them to do things they can't do now. And so that means a lot of practice and a lot of repeating and you know, working hard to build those skills. So it's not something that is easily done, but we have it all. It's a little bit like a video game where it's in small sequence steps. So you're always being challenged, yet you are almost able to do it. And so we need people who are good coaches, if that makes sense, that can keep you engaged. A lot of parents call them like their child's personal cheerleader. And so that's really what we look for. So it doesn't necessarily, you don't necessarily have to have a background in psychology, although a lot of our trainers do, because people who, you know, are working on their masters or that type of thing in psychology or education are really drawn to what we do because it just makes so much sense.
And it's really interesting. You know, it's just a really interesting arena that you've tapped into and that you've created. So we're going to take a quick break and hear a word from our sponsors and continue this really interesting conversation on the other side.
Guess what it is? It's Mount Laurel, New Jersey. It's RBN Television, and you know that it's time for morning coffee.
We love our new home. Lots of windows, great light.
But the birds. They're back.
Yes, I hear them.
Uh-oh. Why are these birds so angry?
At least Geico makes bundling our home and car insurance easy.
We save a lot.
I'm going. Ah!
Hurry!
I know.
For bundling made easy, go to geico.com.
Welcome. I'm Barry Lefkowitz. I'm your host on New Perspectives on RVN TV. I come to you each week with issues and topics that you will generally find in the news. And if you're looking to be able to get caught up and know what's going on, then New Perspectives is the show for you on RVN TV. Look forward to having you.
Welcome back to Franchise Focus. I'm your host, Lisa Linkowski, and I have Kim Hanson, who is the CEO of LearningRx with me. And Kim, we were just talking right before the break about, the staffing for LearningRx, and, with the labor issues that we have, everyone has. How are you addressing that? Because you do need quite a significant amount of people to run your centers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it actually is difficult to find, new people these days. We've focused on a few things. One thing is that we have like a really fun culture. Like if you walk into one of our training centers, there's a lot of energy. There's metronomes going. There are kids shouting numbers, and you'll see high fives, and so it's a great culture with a lot of passionate people. And so a lot of times we're looking for someone who wants to work, part-time, but do something meaningful. And so we have a lot of part-time people that will stay with us for 10, 15 years. That's not always the case. We also have a bucket of people who maybe stay with us for 2 or 3 years. So we are always looking for people who are passionate, want to help others, but they also have to have some good cognitive skills and be a good coach. So it's definitely a challenge to find people, but a lot of times parents of clients will sometimes say, you know what? This is really fun. Maybe I'd like to do this for, a few days a week. And then a lot of our trainers know people who are just like them and would enjoy it. So we kind of do a lot of referral, and then, just being out in the community and letting people know what we do. If they're passionate about helping people and they want to do something fun, it's just brain training is a lot of fun, whether you're the client or you're the trainer. And a lot of our trainers are even helped with their cognitive skills because they have to do what their client does, but it's backwards and upside down. So it helps them too.
I would think a lot of everything that you just said would also help with what my next question was who's the ideal candidate for owning a LearningRx, because LearningRx is a franchise, so you can own one audience. You're listening to this and I'm thinking, this is probably exactly what you're thinking when you're looking for that ideal candidate. And I'm guessing that you end up having some parents that see this be so successful and they're like, I want to run one of these.
Yes, we have a lot of parents, or someone who has a loved one who could really be helped, but there's not a center in their community and they want to bring it. Or maybe they had to travel. Maybe they had to drive. Some of our clients, maybe have had to drive an hour to get the help. And then it's such a neat business that they want to bring it back to their own community. We look for someone who are, our top performers are people. They're good at networking. They're very involved in their community. They want to do something for their community. Typically, some of them have had business backgrounds, some of them have not. Our systems are very well tailored to our business, and so you don't have to have that background, but it can help. And so someone who's a good networker, someone who executes, likes to look at their numbers, but we also have a lot of ways that we can show you your numbers in kind of a fun visual way. So we really have all the tools that you need. You don't need to have a in fact, most people, I don't know how many people that have had a background in brain training.
Yeah, no, that hasn't happened yet.
There are very few.
Right.
And so it's not something that you have to know or be good at, but just passionate about your community and bringing something that is so needed.
Sure. And, as you're sitting there thinking about that, I'm sitting there thinking about, I implore everyone, all my candidates, when I talk to them about franchise ownership, that that networking, that business development skill is one of the most needed, because you're that brand ambassador out in the community, and it is critical for a successful franchise, unless they're not the ones that are doing it and they have someone else in mind. But it is just such an important piece of what you're doing, and you want to embody it in everything that you're doing, and you want to be excited and and just be so passionate about it, and and so I can see that if you've seen it work and you've watched someone that you watched it work, and then you got that passion for it, and you're like, well, I want to have this. I want to go open this center up, somewhere else where they don't have this available, because there's only 50 across our state right now, across our country right now. So lots of room for expansion. And that leads me to my next question is, what are your goals for 2022? What do you envision for how many locations that you expect to get up and running this year?
Yeah, well, we have helped 100,000 people train their brains. So I don't know if you've ever looked at like a football stadium from a university like LSU. They have 108,000 people, and you look across that whole entire stadium and you can see about 100,000 people. My goal in the next 10 years is to triple that. I would love to have 3,000 brains that we have trained. And so, yeah, that means that we're targeting some cities here in the U.S. that, are business friendly, they're family friendly, and they don't have a center that has brain training. And so we have some cities that we're really targeting. We have 10 of those. But of course, we're happy to grow anywhere in the U.S. So yeah, we're looking to grow both internationally. Our international brand is called BrainRx. And then our domestic brand here in the U.S. and in Canada is LearningRx.
Well, that is an incredible goal, to sit there and triple to 300,000 brains that you want to be able to say that they got this help for improving and making life better for themselves in whatever way that they would like. Another point I would like the audience to know is that you co-authored a book with your father. Do you want to talk about that briefly?
Yeah. So my dad and I wrote a book called Unlock the Einstein Inside. I have it right here, but I think you have a graphic of it also.
Yeah, we put it up for you.
It's a book written for parents who might be worried about one of their kids. If your kid is coming home and now their feelings have changed towards school. They don't find it fun. They don't want to do their schoolwork, or, what I mean? They're struggling. They're having a hard time paying attention. They're easily distracted. Maybe they don't remember what they've read, or they're having trouble taking tests. Our book dives into why. Why do people struggle to learn? And then we also even have like some little exercises in our book that you can try yourself at home for free. We also have a section for teachers. There are a lot of teachers that love what we do. And we also have a CE course that they can do for free that's listed in the back of our book. Of course, you can find that on our website too.
Excellent. And I'm guessing that this book can be found anywhere where books are sold. And is there a downloadable version of the book as well, or is it only hard copy?
Yeah, so you can buy it on Amazon.com or a lot of retailers. You can also go onto our website, LearningRx.com, and you can download a free ebook.
Oh.
And so just look for Unlock the Einstein Inside. I know for sure if you scroll down to the bottom and you click on it, we'll email you one.
Look at that, audience. You just found out how to get this book for free, so that's great news.
Yeah.
All right. So
also, if you go to one of our centers, we will typically give them to anyone who walks in our doors.
Okay, wonderful. And so we talked about your vision, which is an incredible vision for the next several years. And let's talk about the training that you give to the franchise owners? Because this could sound very daunting for people that, they don't have this background, and that's the beauty of franchising, is that you're given the training where you don't know anything about this, and now you become the expert in it. So talk about the training that you do give to your owners.
Sure. Well, because we are brain trainers, we're really good at training. And so we know how to take things that are very complex and break it down into small, easy pieces. And so our franchisee training, we've kind of divided everything into what you need to know, what you need to understand, and then what you need to be able to do. And if it's something that we share that with you, but also let you know like where you can find it. We have lots of videos. We have a great digital ops manual. But then when there's things that you need to understand, then we actually practice that and work on that. So we look at our numbers, we look at the different things. If it's something you need to be able to do, like answer the phone. Well, we've broken how to answer the phone down into 5 easy questions. And we add visual cues to all of it, so it's easy to memorize. And so our training is not just that week of franchise training that you come, but we also do a year of first year coaching. And so and we look at the 4 most important things that are important for your business to thrive. And we have, you kind of have to graduate out of it because you've achieved a certain, standard in each of those 4 areas. And then beyond that, we have a lot of peer learning. We have performance groups. We have regional meetings where we get together, and our system is really a group of smart, fun people, and we just enjoy being with each other. So that's just part of our culture, is to learn and to train. And so I would put our franchise training up to anyone's.
Well, as I said from the start, Kim, the passion that you have for this concept, everyone can hear it in what you have to say. And I thank you so much for sharing it with the audience. And we're going to put up your contact information for the audience, so if they want to reach out and learn how they can own a LearningRx in their town near them, we've put that up. And Kim, thank you so much. And thanks for watching Franchise Focus. Franchise Focus airs every Friday, 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And I'm your host, Lisa Lenkowski. I am a certified franchise consultant. I am the owner of Milestone Franchising, and you can learn more about me at milestonefranchising.com. Thanks so much.